Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guys, welcome to the second episode from the Luton Grappling Club podcast. We've got one of our very, very early students, probably one of the first guys to walk through the door when we opened up on Selborne Road, maybe 8 years ago. Sunil, how you doing, brother? Ramadan Mubarak.
Alhamdulillah.
So this is a very special podcast coming, we're both fasting at the minute. How's your fasting been?
Alhamdulillah, first day today.
Yeah.
You started yesterday?
We started yesterday, yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So this is our number 2.
Good.
You're number 1, yeah.
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah. You better not do Eid with us.
We will try not
That's
to.
what I'm saying. You better do next day, at least the
yeah.
next day. But obviously, for you, I think it's been quite a journey towards jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've told this millions of times, and people probably bored of hearing me say it. I started from rugby to boxing to mixed martial arts, and then landed at jiu-jitsu. I started jiu-jitsu when I was around 21. But what about yourself? What brought you towards jiu-jitsu?
I think for me, I've never been into sports, really and truly. Even since I was young, I was never into football, cricket, or any ball game sport.
Yeah.
Right? Rugby, I used to play. I used to play rugby. I used to be okay at it. Played in high school, but I didn't really go any further than that. My first probably introduction to martial art was taekwondo.
Nice.
When I was a little kid, and I hated every minute of it.
Go for those
Yeah,
head kicks,
these legs are not made for taekwondo. I'll tell you that. But in terms of introduction to grappling, it really comes through my religious journey. I became Muslim about 13 years ago. I've kind of looked into the life of the companions of the Prophet, the life of the Prophet, and I see as a man, there's two ways. There's the way of religion and there's the way of martial arts in that tradition. I mean, none of the Sahabas were not able to defend themselves and people around them. So for me, that was a massive inspiration to learn or take something on. And alhamdulillah, I've been around good company. I've been around good teachers who've taught me traditional Islam, right? And the part of tradition is to be a man's man.
Yeah.
And to be 100%. That, you need to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. 100%. But what makes you walk the walk? That was the question they asked us. My introduction to grappling came through the Seerah books, when the Prophet ﷺ is grappling Rukana, companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who became Muslim through that. And Rukana was so shocked by the grappling abilities of the Prophet ﷺ that he accepted Islam based on that.
I just need to know what takedown it was, man.
I can't remember. I would love to see the
Prophet takedown.
SubhanAllah.
You need to find that out for me.
He said,
what takedown was it, man? What was the key?
They say about Rukana would step on his balance was so good because the tradition about him that he would step on a sheepskin and people couldn't pull this out of his leg. So imagine a single leg on him. That you can't even lift his leg out of a sheepskin to pull out, let alone to get a double or a single on him. Would be very hard. But the Prophet, not once, not twice, but 3 times, the Prophet took him down. And in jiu-jitsu, you can see the arrogance some grapplers have. And they think, how can you beat me?
Yes.
Imagine Gordon Ryan being beat by someone who's never trained before.
Yes.
He's going to think this is miraculous. And that's what maybe the mindset of Rukana was, that this is probably something more than...
He understood it.
He understood it. Yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah. He understood how good he was.
And the Prophet is what, in that time, maybe in his mid-40s, late 40s.
Yes.
It's after revelation.
Yes.
Yeah, the Prophet is the paragon of men, right? So what you're meant to be like at that age. And I kind of looked at myself thinking, how am I following the Prophet's example here? Yeah. I remember I was so unfit that I was once walking uphill and my friend asked me, are you okay? Because I was breathing so badly.
Yeah.
Because just unfit. I should do security 12 hours a day and just eat bad and, But then another thing that kind of, there's a sheikh called Sheikh Ibrahim Osiafa. He started this initiative called Fatwa Initiative.
Yes.
Fatwa Initiative is based on Islamic principles of martial arts and spirituality. And there's a retreat that happens every year in Turkey. And that was my first introduction to jiu-jitsu.
Was it a Turkish wrestling?
I wish it was. It wasn't. It wasn't. So part of the curriculum was archery, Islamic studies, so like things on Imam Ghazali's books on breaking the 2 desires, which deals with diet and your other desires as a man. What else was it? And then jiu-jitsu. And Ustad Ibrahim kind of fit that in really nicely. So we had to start Nisar from Osawa Jiu-Jitsu. He was the coach for Jiu-Jitsu. And when I first, before that, we did wrestling, because wrestling is the actual Sunnah sport, right? But Jiu-Jitsu is completely different to wrestling. And I thought, Nisar is like a 6 for something. And you're double leg him. No, I had some level of arrogance there. I forgive myself. But yeah, that was my first intro to Jiu-Jitsu. And I just kind of thought, what, this is crazy. Because I remember there's a person called Omar who was a purple belt, skinny, maybe 60 kg, a bit Abu Musa, that kind of built, right? And I think I'm going to be 120, 130 kgs at that time. And I thought, I can take this back and just, no way. Butterfly sweeps, all kind of sweeps. I've never experienced that, being manhandled at that weight. So that was
surprising, isn't it?
It's surprising. Yeah. So that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu.
Alhamdulillah.
So that was my kind of story into it. But subhanAllah.
I think I got a little bit lucky then. because we kind of fell into it, enjoying it.
Yeah.
And afterwards we found out that, you know, this is kind of like a similar sport.
Did your brothers do it as well, or just yourself?
I started off first, and then, you know, Faisal came afterwards. Faisal was more into boxing and MMA. He was there for a long time. I remember the first gi I bought 2 blue tatami gis.
Right.
I bought one for him and one for me. This
Right.
one I was a white belt.
Right.
And I gave him one. I said, look, start training. He done a little bit with Ustad Waleed, but then he stopped, and then he done boxing, he done MMA. So if he had carried on at the same time, it would have been at the same level. But it's giving me a hard enough time now anyway. So I'm kind of glad he didn't start when I started.
I'm glad as well. Imagine he's bad enough now.
I think the whole club's quite glad.
I'll give you a funny story. One of the first times I went to Ustad Waleed's session.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm spoken to Faisal a little about this. The first time I met Faisal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I wasn't starting to jiu-jitsu, right? So I'm getting out of breath. I'm struggling to breathe in anything to do right now. I've got Faisal. Faisал's got me in a side control right now, right? And I'm thinking I'm going to tap on this as he's putting his shoulder in there.
I'm ready to go.
And Faisal got so upset because I tapped with the pressure. He said, why are you tapping? Why are you tapping? It's not a move. Yeah. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Carry on. But that was my first memory of Faisal.
He hasn't changed much.
He hasn't changed. He's still the same. You know, that was like this is all like 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
When he was the yellow mats in Britannia.
Yes.
Yeah, Ustad Waleed.
That was a long time.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
You need characters. I'll be honest with you. I always say you need characters like Faisal around you.
100%.
You know, for me, he's always pushed me. I wasn't big into competition. You know, before I got my black belt, I wasn't competing a huge amount. I think I've competed more at black belt now than I have if you put all my belts together. You know, so that's pushed me. And alhamdulillah, I think he's pushed the gym as well.
100%.
You know, and everyone's trying to be as good as we can. And that's what he wants anyway. He wants us to be one of the best gyms around. We want the same as well.
100%.
We want to be the best. I think we can get very relaxed with the brothers, and it does happen often, where because you're with your brothers, you know, and the Muslim brothers are, you know, we've got this love and this unity already. We get very relaxed with each other.
It's true.
You know, and then you see what happens is that the quality of training starts to just drift off slightly.
It's true.
You know, everything becomes a little bit fun. Everything becomes a little bit, you know, too brotherly love.
Hippie culture,
yeah. And before you know it, you're eating biryani on the mats, man.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's when you know it's all gone wrong.
It's no longer a jiu-jitsu.
That's when you know it's all gone wrong. Yeah. You know, and alhamdulillah, we're fortunate to have Ustad Waleed at the helm. I would say the real general.
It's true.
You know, I just love watching him at competitions, man. Like everyone just looks at him because they know who he is. You know,
one of the most famous grappler in the South amongst the Muslims, right?
100%. I would say probably one of the most famous Muslim grapplers in the UK.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
You know, mashallah, he paved the way for a lot of us.
True. I remember in Turkey, I heard about him first before meeting him. Something sounded like, there's an amazing man who trains people at Luton. Go see him.
I think Ustad Nisar was after him.
Yeah.
So he was
trained together.
Yeah. And I think Waleed looked after him at Carlson's original Carlson Gracie gym. So there was a lot of stories together.
Very.
But alhamdulillah, man, it's a blessing. Honestly, it's a blessing. Not for me, it was kind of like meeting Ustad Waleed. It was like, as a Muslim, you can go all the way to the top. You know, which I hadn't seen before.
It's true.
You know, we had seen all the Brazilians, we had seen maybe some, you know, some English fighters that had gone all the way to the top in jiu-jitsu, but there wasn't any Muslims. And so it was something so nice to see that, alhamdulillah, somebody who's still, mashallah, you know, for me anyway, I see him as practicing Islam, but he was still able to do all the martial arts and get to the top. And I think as a club, we might have gone down a very different route if it wasn't for him.
It's true.
You know, because we were all young. I was young as well. You know, when we started, I was maybe 28. So I was still young. And I think he kind of just held it together.
Yeah.
And he just made sure he set the laws and he said, look, this is how we're going to do things. You know, we're not going to have music. We're not going to have mixed training. And all these things are important. You know, some people might look at them and say, oh, geez, they're just, you know, it's not a big deal if you listen to music when you train. But then you lose the blessing of it, right? Like if you're coming, like you said yourself, you know, alhamdulillah, you came to grappling through Islam and you said, look, I want to do grappling because it's good for my deen and it's part of Islam. And then you start putting music into it. You know, it
defeats the whole concept,
the whole purpose of it, right? Or if you start doing mixed training, you know, mixed training is never a great idea. You know,
too many horror stories. And everyone knows what we're talking about.
Honestly,
no one can deny it.
No one can deny it. There's not a gym out there that hasn't got issues when it comes to mixed training.
No, because it's just nature.
It's just nature of the man, isn't it? Like you said. But it's a blessing, man. Like I said, it's a blessing that we get to train jiu-jitsu in a Muslim environment.
Alhamdulillah.
And I'm not ashamed to say it, and I'm not afraid to say it.
And we shouldn't be.
Yeah, for sure.
There's non-Muslims who can vouch for the environment that we were training.
100%. We've got lots of non-Muslims. They love the environment we're training. You know, they love the brotherhood that we share with them. And I treat them, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I treat them better than I treat the brothers.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
You know, and I think as a Muslim, I think a lot of time, like you said, you can talk, you can give lectures.
Yep.
But a lot of it is when people are watching you, they're going to see how do you behave? You know, how are you behaving as a Muslim? What makes you different? You know, are you behaving the same way I'm behaving? Lectures are lectures.
That's it.
You know,
I mean, actions are by their intentions, right? So
100%.
how actions are looked upon. So Islam was never spread through debates and through, you know, intelligent gymnastics. It was through people's actions.
100%.
The Prophet, the people who look at the Prophet and say, that's not a face of Allah. He spoke with actions. That's Allah. You know, for us, I think you yourself and Ustad have been great examples. Because even like, and alhamdulillah, you know what, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I will praise my teachers. You know, I've taken a lot of my religion from Wajid and, you know, my other teachers, but in terms of coming, the other part of it, from the martial way, I've taken it from yourself and Ustad Wali. And, you know, and the main thing is for me, I can't just take from people who talk the talk. I need to see walk the walk, right?
100%.
I've seen many people talk about, oh yeah, the Sahabas are this, and the companions did this, and Khalid bin Walid did this, but they have no bone of marshalness about them.
Yes.
You can talk about that, but where's your training? I'll come to training. No.
Yeah. But I think there is a change.
There is
do
massive,
you see it coming? Yeah.
massive. I went to a mosque the other day, Ustad, kid you not, all the kids were there, they doing jiu-jitsu with each other.
Yeah.
In the back of the mosque. And I was so impressed. I was thinking, where did this come from? But it's growing within the Muslims.
It's becoming more and more common.
Yeah, 100%.
You see it more and more common.
But it's because of people like yourself and Saad Wali who've made it a bit more, you know, accessible to Muslims. 100%. They can train now.
Like mashallah, here, we probably have around 250 kids that come every week.
Amazing.
And they train. And yes, the majority are Muslim. We are in Luton, you know, so I would say 90%, 95% of the students that come are Muslim.
Yeah.
But you see it way more than you used to, right? Like before, hardly any Muslims will be into martial arts.
Nope.
It was seen as a waste of time.
That's right.
You know, there's no point, you're not going to make any money from it. But now we're seeing the benefits of it. You know, and they don't have to be financial benefits.
No.
You know, alhamdulillah, with the kids, we're seeing them becoming more confident. Lots of kids have anxiety issues. They come here. And what can be worse than somebody trying to fight you?
It's true. The worst fear.
It's the worst fear. And once you get over that, everything else seems quite ordinary, quite normal.
What's that thing? Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
What's the bottom line? Physical safety.
Yeah.
You know, without that, you can't build anything.
Yeah.
Without that, there's no confidence. Your physical fear is the most crucial thing that you, as back in caveman days, I guess, they would fear for their safety physically 100%. First than anything else. You know,
and I think that's why, for me anyway, that's why I compete. I don't compete for any other reason. I compete because inside me, there still is that voice that tells me, look, we don't want to fight. You know, and when you go to competition, it's like you've got no choice. You have to fight.
It's a different kind of...
Yeah. And even when I compete, you know, and again, I'm not afraid to say it, I'm not ashamed to say it. I've always got that voice telling me, man, oh, just let them have the win. It's no big deal. You understand?
They say it in psychology, right? They say it's flight or fear. I mean, flight or fight.
Yes.
Right? Your mind and body will tell you you need to run away from the situation, but your training will tell you, no, you're capable of.
But you think about what is the intelligent thing to do is to run away.
Yeah, it's true.
That is the intelligent thing. You know, if trouble approaches you and you've got that chance to run, it's just hard to run when you're on the mat.
If you can't, disqualification straight away.
Straight away, your reps going downhill fast.
It's true.
You know, fast. But again, like I said, when I'm fighting competition, all the time there's that voice. You know, and it's whether you can defeat that voice. It's like, you know, we talk about nafs, and we talk about this voice in your head that's telling you to do things. I think I don't feel that more than when I'm in competition. Wow. That voice. It's like this other person inside you that's talking, you know, telling you to do everything opposite to what. And again, in Islam, it's the same thing, right?
The nafs always trying to.
We're trying to defeat this voice that's inside our heads.
And now in psychology, they call it the chimp brain paradox, right? So you have the chimp mind and you have the man mind.
Yes.
And they literally just define the nafs and the soul here.
Yeah.
You have two voices in your head. But secularly, you can sort of witness that within yourself.
Yeah, you can all the time.
How do you encounter that? So how do you counter that?
It's hard because like you're gearing up to something like a competition, and you know you're in your mind. You're like, yeah, I'm ready, and this voice hasn't said anything yet. You know, he's staying quiet. He's not said anything yet. You're there. You're at a competition. Still hasn't said anything.
Right.
The minute the rep says fight, he jumps up.
Right.
Honestly, the minute and he comes up with all these lame excuses. Oh, he's too strong. He's too fast. He deserves the win. Oh, no one cares if you lose, and he's just throwing all these excuses at you. And I feel like sometimes in life it's the same thing. Like you could be going along just normally in life, but then the situation arises.
I can't wake up for Fajr, it's too cold.
Yeah. And it's really what it is. It's just excuses, right?
Yeah.
It's excuses not to do good things.
Do you think jiu-jitsu helps you train that side of you where you can just say, look, I'm under so much pressure. This is about 20 kgs on top of me. I'm inside control. How do I not give up?
I think mentally it does make you stronger. That's one thing for sure. Mentally it does make you stronger. But in terms of, look, you can be the best jiu-jitsu fighter in the world. But like you said, if you can't raise that blanket at time for Fajr, man, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, you're the weakest man in that room. And that's the truth.
It's true. I think the truth. Religion translates that martial way into spirituality in a way where the Prophet said, it's not the man who can wrestle the best. It's the man who can control his anger the most.
Man, that's hard to do.
That's the hardest thing, isn't it? Yeah.
That is extremely hard to do.
It's that voice, get angry, do this, do that.
Yeah. Especially when you're at home. You know, or when you're in a female environment, for example. You can get angry easy. Yeah. There's not another man there. Yeah. If my dad's there, I ain't getting angry. You understand?
You know?
Yeah. So I ain't getting angry. You know, but if, for example, if it's just me and my wife and the kids, I can get angry easy. No one there to put me in check. Yeah. And like you said, that's the important thing, is controlling your anger when you can get angry. Does that make sense? For me to control my anger when my dad's there, no. I know that if I get angry, he's going to slap me one. Does that make sense? So not that anger's gone. But controlling your anger when you have the ability to get angry and no one's going to do anything about it, you know, that's something, that's the hard bit.
The Prophet, that's a companion came to the Prophet and he said that, give me advice. Yeah. And don't get angry. Yeah. Give me another advice. Don't get angry. Give me another advice. Just don't get angry. Yeah. You know, the emphasis on not getting angry. Because I've seen it. If you spar when you're angry, you're going to lose that spar.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You have no emotional. Yeah, emotions. They can't, no space for emotions in sparring. Because that's when people get, you know, overtaken or you make a silly mistake.
You make silly mistakes.
Yeah, and that's in life as well, isn't it? Like you make an emotional mistake, you've had an argument, you've said things you shouldn't have said, you can never take them back.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Right, tunnel vision. Yeah. And like you said, it's so important, especially in the heat of the argument. You know, you say things or you do things. How many people, you know, road rage incidents where they get angry because someone just cut them up? Yeah. Or just, you know, that's it. Yeah. You know.
Do you think anger comes from a place of insecurity at times? Because you're not secure about it. So the only thing that you have within yourself, I'm going to get angry, I look big and strong.
I do feel like as a man, and this is my personal experience, and again, I'll relate most things to jiu-jitsu because it's such a big part of my life. When I'm not training jiu-jitsu, just say I've had a week off, I'm easily triggered. Yeah. You know, I'm on edge. Like I can get angry very quickly. Yeah. But if I'm training and I'm in that constant, you know, mindset where I'm training, there's something inside you that becomes relaxed. You know, and if my wife wants something, I always say, she always comes to me after training. She'll be like, oh, can I get this or can I get that? And I'm like, yeah. I'm just,
it's so strange, isn't it? That like you are able to be like emotionally reset, reset yourself. Like you're no longer angry, you're present in the moment. That's one thing I've kind of witnessed myself in training here. Whenever I've had a sort of a tough time in life, there were some tough times, and I've gone. If it wasn't for like, you know, us lot and you lot and our teachers and our teammates, I would have developed some sort of mental health issues. Yeah. Because I'll be honest, like when life throws massive tests at you, you don't know how to react to it.
For sure.
You know, but I find like jiu-jitsu is the space where you can kind of be present, because you know what happens a lot of times, just a battle within your head, a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, and you can't switch off. But the mat forces you to switch off and focus. Yeah. Right. And that in turn kind of makes you think, oh, you know what? It's not so bad. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is worse.
They're starting to do studies now with kids, especially boys. And they're starting to see that boys that train jiu-jitsu have higher concentration levels. Wow. You know, and they're able to complete tasks, like fully complete tasks, where before training jiu-jitsu, they weren't able to. Wow. So for me, sometimes I come into the club and, you know, I'm stressed or I've got some sort of business thing on my mind and I've come in, train jiu-jitsu, and you come out and you're fine.
Yeah, I feel...
Yeah, you know, that decision that you had to make doesn't seem like it's that big anymore. You know, you're like, fine, I'll deal with it in the morning. You know,
you've just had a massive sparring with Fassel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For him to worry about.
This guy to worry about. And again, it's just that art of dealing with stress. And I find jiu-jitsu does help. You know, I look at my dad, and sometimes I think to myself, how does he deal with the stress he has? Because he has way more stress than me. You know, but he seems to be dealing with it a lot better than I am. And then I look at him and I think to myself, is it an age thing? Like as we get older, are we able to deal better with stress with more experience? And I think that is a big part of it. You know, jiu-jitsu and, you know, just being able to deal, like you said, with a tough opponent. Things after that don't seem that bad.
No, they don't.
You know, whether it's work or relationships or whatever it is. You know.
So as you know, recently we started this thing with where I work, I'm a complex case manager there.
Yes.
So I've got people who have got very complex needs in supported living. A lot of them have criminal backgrounds and mental health issues. So one of the guys who said to me that he's got about 42 felonies or whatever in his name, right? And he's developed strong mental health issues. I think the day he came to the mats and we just did a little, not even sparring, we just battled for underhooks.
Yeah.
But even that, he goes, it was such a release for him.
Yes.
You know, he felt like, okay, you know what, this is amazing. I don't have to think about the traumas that I've been through so far in prison or in life or things I've done. He said to me, I felt present today.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me was, I was like, wow, that's really,
sets
really
you
cool.
free for a few minutes, doesn't it?
For a few minutes, he felt present. Like he wasn't thinking about, oh, I've got this coming up, or I've got that, or this is what I'm no longer in remorse of, like, oh, I've done this in my life. And he was present in that moment because he had to think about someone not underhooking him.
Yeah.
You know, that sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
You know, but I've had some really good feedback in terms of the service users. They are very grateful for us introducing them to jiu-jitsu. Because we can see a minor change in their behavior. They look forward to it every week.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something we're trying to do with Greenbridge Housing. We're trying to understand how we can support vulnerable adults.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that we've come up with is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah.
I think it's a great initiative. And like you said, it just gives them a space where they can just be themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, they don't have to worry about being judged.
100%.
You know, if they do something silly or whatever it is, or do a silly roll on the mat, it doesn't matter. You know, we're all learning. And I do think for me, it was coming out of like dental school. It was kind of like, what was next? Like, I needed something to do next. Like, I don't think I could have just sat at home. And it wasn't just about the physical workout, it was more the mental workout. Like, my brain needed something. I need to learn something new. And 15 years later, I'm still here trying to learn it and trying to figure it out. And I think that's what it is for a lot of adults. We stop learning. You know, we get to a point where, for example, we get a job and then we just stop learning. You know, and the brain just gets in that place where it's not being, you know, there's nothing that's driving it. There's no challenge. But jiu-jitsu, there's always that challenge. The brain enjoys it. It's addictive. And I think that's why jiu-jitsu is addictive.
So that's sort of relevant to the conversation at hand, though. You know, we've got so many young people in the same situation as that. Like, they've done what they need to do. They have no idea where they're going, what challenges are ahead, nothing to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say to like a young man who's like, you know, just dealing with sort of all these issues of, you know, financially or educationally, stress? Like we have a lot of college kids who are under a lot of stress. So what would you say to them?
Look, it is tough. That's the first thing that, you know, it's tough when you're young. You've got to make decisions now that are going to affect the rest of your life, right? Like, it's hard for a 16-year-old to make a decision now as to what A levels he wants to do, or what university he wants to go to, what degree he wants to do. And it is going to affect him for the rest of his life. So it's a huge decision to make. The easiest thing is not to make that decision. The easiest thing is just to drop out of education and go find a job and just say, you know what, I'll think about that later. That's the easiest thing to do. I think it's important that we have guidance, and I would say that's the most important thing, is that we have guidance. And that's why it's so important for parents to be involved with their children's lives, not in just, you know, in all aspects of their lives, and encourage them, and encourage them to be the best they can be, you know. And look, not everyone's going to go and get straight A's at A levels. Not everyone's going to go and get PhDs and doctorates, and we understand that. But, you know, get into a place where you know that whatever it is you're doing, you're trying your best, and that's important.
Do you know what the cool thing about training with the brothers is? If you lack that, what you're talking about, the guidance element of your life, you can find it on the mat with the brothers.
Alhamdulillah,
You know, we have people like Ridwan, who's always guiding people through. You know, he's always trying to give me advice and sound advice. You know, he treats us like his younger brothers. And I personally benefited a lot from that. And I started when I was 25 here. You know, I was kind of struggling with career. What do I need to do and stuff. And Ridwan's, you know, he's not my blood brother, but he's my brother in Deen and in Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, Ridwan's a guy that I'll go to a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I go to a lot. And again, like you said, it is that advice. That you've got people that can advise you.
And some people like that. And this is the importance of having a great culture and people around you in the gym. You know, this is what you can get. You can get a brotherhood that is, you know, solid. And they will always look after you, because there's something you develop while grappling with each other. That closeness. Like,
for me, it's kind of like as humans, we want to be part of a group. That's the truth. We want to be part of something, right? I had a rough time in masjids. That's the truth. Like, growing up, we were that generation where you know, we weren't treated well in masjids. we're all kind of like beaten, we're all like, you know.
I've heard.
So yeah, so we don't like personally. Do we have love for masjid? Not really. I know it sounds bad, but that's the
But
reality
that's
of
got the
it.
traumatic experience a young man goes through in
You know, that's the
masjid.
reality of it. Could I, if I went back now, could I beat up those Maulvis that beat me up? Probably. You know, I probably could.
Most likely.
But you know, it's just that trauma that stays with you.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'll be honest with you, and I don't mind being honest. I've never had a connection with the masjid ever. You know, I look at some people do, and I think, you know, it's a beautiful thing that you've got that connection.
It's true.
But I just
encouraged
don't.
to have that.
Yeah, and I just don't. But I found something in jiu-jitsu where, you know, we pray salah together, we do tarawih together.
That's right.
It's almost like a masala almost here.
It is.
You know, we've got Quran classes every week with Ustad Waleed. I hope, you know, that it helps brothers become better Muslims.
100%. I can vouch for that, because for me, when I've gone through stuff in my life, and you know, everyone's praying together, and sometimes there's that demon telling you, don't pray, go skip it. You can't, because I know someone's going to ask me, where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you not praying? I have no answer to that. You know, so sometimes you need people like that around you, and you can find them in the right places. And a lot of the time you see people gravitate towards three things in life, especially young: power, money, you know, and they take the wrong avenues for that.
100%.
Why? Because going back to what you said, lack of guidance.
Yeah, lack of guidance.
You know, power. They want to join a gang, but they wouldn't empower themselves by learning a martial art. You know, they rather go make money and sell drugs instead of getting a career and listening to, you know, the way you're saying, not giving up on education and not giving. But that mindset, where does that come from? You know, it's just lack of guidance, lack of motivation. But I feel like through the avenues of making the right choices in your deen, in your martial arts, and coming to the right place, meeting the right people, it's so important.
So important.
You know?
Yeah, like for me, like being in Luton, we've been here about 8 years.
Yeah.
We opened up Luton Grappling Club because I felt like I needed someone to train.
That's
so
right.
We started it, and alhamdulillah, it went well. Like I said, I was 28 when we started.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd have to step into these, you know, some big shoes.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had to be, you know, someone who helps and advises and all of this. It just happened.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even think we ever wanted to have a big club. That's the truth. It was kind of like we just wanted a small group of guys that were training.
I remember you saying that at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, said, 8-10 people, that's what we need.
Yeah, that's what we need.
I remember that. I remember that.
I remember writing a list of like 8 people on this piece of paper.
They'd be our competitors.
Yeah, these are our members. You know. And I remember doing the financials and saying, okay, if these 8 people come, we're going to be fine. We're going to break even here. And before you know it, alhamdulillah, you know, the brothers came and they trained. And I think Luton is in need of a lot.
It is, 100%.
You know, and before, you know what me and Fas were like, isn't it? Before we had a lot of, I wouldn't say hatred, but it was a lot of like
frustration, I would say.
Yeah, or competition with other gyms.
Yeah.
You know, and we had this thing where like we have to be the best, everyone else is terrible, you know. But I think as we're kind of getting to a place now where we're like, actually, alhamdulillah, everyone's doing a good job. You know, all the other gyms out there, you know, the gyms in Luton, I don't mind giving them a shout out, you know, Legends and Ultimate Athlete and, you know, Prolific
and 210 and
210. Yeah. You know, I'll be honest with you. Yes, you know, competitively we want to be the best, and we always want to be the best. But these guys are doing a fine job as well.
They are.
You know, they're keeping the kids off the streets, and they appeal to maybe different kids to who we appeal to.
They do.
You know, and I know, you know, Faisal Malik's doing a great job over at Legends. Mashallah, he's got a good following. You know, people trust him or follow him. He's keeping the kids off the street.
100%.
You know, he's keeping them busy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we need in Luton.
100%.
You know, we need other avenues apart from, like you said, about the drug dealing avenue.
Yeah.
Where it's so easy to get into it.
So easy.
So easy.
Yeah.
You know, and things like martial arts and look, maybe you might not become a world champion. We understand that. You know, but at least you can go to a local show. You can have a competitive fight. It gives you, you know, for those 6 weeks when you're training, it's giving you focus. And then you take that focus that you enjoyed in those 6 weeks and you put it into something else. And you say, look, I can focus for 6 weeks on something, completely focus my life on it. Maybe I can do that in education, you know, and it gives you those skills.
It's a motivator.
100%.
You know,
100%. You know, you've done it before.
Yeah.
Or you just do it exactly the same thing. You've got the blueprint. You just do it in something else.
Yeah. I started jiu-jitsu with Faisal and Babs in the beginning, and they were, you know, crucial to my interest in jiu-jitsu. Because had it not been for those two guys as well, I would have not joined Luton Grappling, because it was Babs who said to me, "Oh, Ustad Waleed and someone opening Luton Grappling Club. You should go check it out."
Yeah.
You know, and that was my avenue. That was my introduction to you guys. And then I think they have pure love for the community. I'd say that.
Yeah.
Faisal, I've worked with them. I worked with Babs. You know, they genuinely care about people around them. So I have to hats off to those guys for they've kept it on.
Man. Look, like I said, they're doing a fine job, man.
Yeah.
They all are. It's just like I said, just really what Luton needs is things to keep the kids off the streets.
100%.
Keep them away from those gangs.
Because I've seen it now, working in supported housing, I've seen the wrong choices a young man can make, right, at 16, 17, right, and that can cost him his life up to 60 years old. Wow. I had a story from one of our service users who went to a party, was drunk, ended up taking heroin or crack. Didn't even realize he took it. Yeah, now 60-year-old, he's lost his family, his daughters, kids, all of that. But never made one right choice because all his life revolved around was drugs.
Yeah.
That was and he said, look, I can't help myself.
Can't help him, man. Addiction's not easy.
He's too old now to do anything else, right? But now I've seen this in our own community, where people are they're the dealers, and and when life hits them rocks, what do they turn to? Not to Allah, not to something that's beneficial. They turn to the same drug themselves.
100%.
I've seen a rise in Muslims taking Pakistani or South Asian boys being involved in drugs now.
Taking it themselves.
Taking it themselves.
Not just selling it. Right?
100%. I had a mate from when I used to go to apprenticeship, and I see him on Biscuit Road. He was addicted to crack cocaine. And it's heartbreaking to see someone that you grew up with, and then you think, this person asked you for a pound. What about the honor that he carried? His mom took care of him for that many years, and now he's on Biscuit Road, 12 o'clock at night, asking for a pound from everyone. I don't know what happened to him. I hope Allah has helped him, but
Allah guides him, man.
Yeah, but tough, man. What went wrong in his life? Lack of company, lack of guidance. And that's what.
And sometimes I think, are we like? Not that I'm an elder, not that we're elders, but do we blame elders? Do you see?
You could do, because sometimes you have the generation above us. They didn't have much resources like we do, so they are also a victim of their own traumas, right? And they've projected that to our generation. So they wouldn't think, we've had parents who are not in touch with the deen. We're thinking, how's that possible? Because they've had the experience of masjid beating them up. And they were completely catapulted the other way. Masjid, no, don't see you're going to turn to be an extremist mullah. And they didn't give that tarbiyah to their kids. And now their kids now they say, okay, maybe my son or my daughter needs the deen, needs good people around him.
But what I find especially in Luton, is I find like, as a society, as a community, we protect these people. We protect these drug dealers. These are my brothers and my sons and my whatever it is, my cousin. So we protect them. I would like to think that, Allah protect my family. But if ever one of my sons turned around and said to me, Dad, this is the choices I'm making, or I found him making these choices, I would like to think I'd say to him, son, there's the door. Does that make sense? You pack your bags. There's the door.
So that's also, you have the ability to, correct the wrongs as well. That goes a lot, because you are a person of martial arts, right? You're not scared of people. A lot of time you'll see a dad is scared of his own son. Because this son has no morals and he'll beat up his dad.
That's true.
So sometimes they have no choice.
Stop my kids training jiu-jitsu.
But we've had cases, right, where a son's beat their dad up, because his dad went to report him, whatever. No, the dad's scared. How do you stop that? As a dad, you need to be able to discipline your kids.
You need to, and I think that, like I said, even now, my dad's in his 60s. But I still, raise my voice in front of my father.
Dad's a boxer.
He'll still, I'm sure if it came to it, he'll still hit me if he had to.
Uppercut if you had to.
I've got utmost respect for him. And I think as a man, I think especially when you're young, you do need that figure.
100% you do.
Does that make sense? You need to be responsible to someone. And we can see it in society, unfortunately, some of the men that are growing up in single parent households, they do struggle.
They 100%.
And it's hard for them. They struggle with any kind of, in terms of like, they don't listen to instructions. They can't be told what to do. They struggle with it. With me, for example, having my father there my whole life, for me, it's easy. If a teacher tells me to do something, whatever it is, whether it's jiu-jitsu or whether it's in dentistry, I always respected that teacher. And I always said, and I'd get the work done. But, at the same time, I had my mother and my father there all the time telling me. And I was used to just saying, okay, and getting on with the work. But some people don't have that.
Nope, they don't have that. They have the wrong role models to look up to. Rebellious people. I think if you ask a young man in school, who do you look up to? I'm pretty sure it's very rare I'm going to get answered. They look up to the Prophet or the companions. But if you said to them rappers and footballers, that's their role models.
The Tate brothers.
The Tate brothers. These guys, what they're going to learn from them? Nothing. Just being degenerates.
That's what it is. Right. That's what it is. And I think as men, I think you always have to stay humble. Doesn't matter how much you've got, whether you've got, huge business or where, you have to stay humble. You have to.
100%. But that's the importance of having people like yourself who start really exposed to the community. Why? Because now young people can see, you know what, I can be powerful and noble at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a bad man.
No,
I don't need to be a gangster to be powerful. Because power doesn't lie there. Power lies with good people.
Yeah. Because I saw when we started Luton Grappling Club, I was a brown belt. So I could have probably just, really hurt everyone that came through the door. And it kind of wasn't about that. It was like, look, we want to grow this, And even now when I train, sometimes I don't go 100% with people. I let them work. So I'm not going for submissions all the time. I let people work. I let them work, give them something. I gain something from it. And I think it's all about, now for me, it's about learning.
100%.
Jiu-jitsu, not about, how many times can I submit this guy in 5 minutes. It's more so, how much can I get from this individual in 5 minutes? Let me work his game, let me work his A game and see if I can get out of it. And let me go back in it again and see if I can get out of it better. And that's how I'm improving. If I'm just throwing out my A game on him all the time, I'm not improving.
It's not learning for you.
It's not learning, man. And it's hard sometimes because, you get these crazy white belts come through the door.
Spaz at you, try to outpower you.
And it's kind of like, okay, calm down, son.
You have to sometimes put it in the place, right?
You have to sometimes. You have to sometimes.
But I've seen people, I've seen people who come to the gym. I remember once, someone quite famous, I'm not going to name him, came to the gym, right? All my life I had stories about this person.
Yeah.
He's one of the best, roughest guys in town, this and that. And I remember him sparring Zayn. Zayn was 4th strike white belt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but then Zayn completely, wrecked him. Yeah. And the guy, out of sheer embarrassment, never came back.
Yeah, it's hard to come back. It's hard to come back.
But had he come back, he'd probably be a better version of himself.
100%. 100%. Sometimes the ego gets the better of us.
Yeah.
And there's no ego in this sport, that's for sure. There isn't, because if you've got an ego, you can't compete, you lose, you're quitting the sport.
It's true.
So it's a tough sport. You're always going to win and you're always going to lose. And you just got to accept it. And that's life, right?
100%.
Yeah. So it's so close to life, like same. Like you can try your utmost best in life and guess what? It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's the same in jiu-jitsu. You can try your best.
And
you can go to competition.
I sometimes think, I'm a brown belt now, 120 kgs. I can beat all my friends up.
Yeah.
And then I go meet Faisal.
Yeah.
That's my humbling machine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I understand, sparring Faisal makes me think I know nothing. Right? And I've been training 8 years.
Yeah.
And there's someone who makes Faisal look like a small fish.
100%. Man.
So there's always a bigger fish out there.
Always, man. Always. And I think that's how you have to go through life. Always remembering that yes, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed you to be where you are. But like you said, there's always someone bigger and badder than you out there. That's why I don't start trouble. I don't start trouble with people generally outside because I don't know what they're capable of. When I was about 11 years old, I got into a fight with a 16-year-old and I provoked the fight purely on my side. He didn't want to fight, but I provoked it. I don't remember him. Like we had then it was just a fist fight, one on one. It was actually from the masjid. So that we had organized this fight from the masjid. And he gave me a good beating that day. He gave me a good beating. Man. And I remember my jaw was hurting for like a good week. And since that day, I don't think I've ever started trouble with anyone.
And also, when you do jiu-jitsu or any martial arts, you understand that the damage you can inflict on a human being.
Yeah.
You are very mindful of that.
Yeah.
I've been in situations from blue belts and it's white belt, blue belt, and I understood the power of this art.
Yeah.
You're the person you're fighting is at your mercy right now. Yeah. You're on top mount.
Especially untrained
individuals.
Right? It's scary.
It's scary. Like you think, you can literally kill them. I think if you have no sort of mercy in your heart, you'll take full advantage of that and you should be like legit.
Again, it's that rage, right? It's the anger. If that anger gets hold of you, you could really, like you said, you could kill someone.
You can kill someone,
and then regret it afterwards.
Yeah.
You could, like you said, you could ruin your whole life with it. But it's funny because 15 years of jiu-jitsu and I've not got into one fight outside.
Alhamdulillah. Never happened.
I know, I'm going to say that when we go outside.
Who wants it?
But honestly, and again, it's that thing where, because it keeps you so calm, you don't need to fight.
No road rage, nothing.
I've got to come in and deal with you guys. So I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want to use up my energy here. I'll save it for Sunil and the brothers.
Not me. What's that?
Ridwan. Yeah, but that's the truth, and I think that's so important. I say to my wife as well that I wouldn't be the same person.
100%.
Yeah, if I didn't train jiu-jitsu, I think I'd be quite a nasty individual.
100%. I mean, it's like, the ability that you have. Also, your faith plays a massive role in this.
Yeah.
right? If you were just with jiu-jitsu, I don't think we could be friends.
Nah,
it
wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be because your ego is in check because you have accountability, right? You know when you die, you're gonna hold yourself accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's gonna ask you, you gave you this ability, and how did you use it? Did you become 100%. An oppressor?
100%.
That's sure. But this for me, this is my sort of like my life right now. Deen, jiu-jitsu, home, and I'm more than happy with that. That's the main thing.
That's what I'm doing as well.
I think most people need that. Going back to my workplace, sometimes they describe, we do something called the pen portrait. Where are you? Where were you? Where are you? Where do you want to be? And sometimes the where do you want to be makes me want to cry sometimes because I'm living someone's dream, the stability. Because I just want to go home, see my family, go to work, and go to the gym. And not be stuck in this vicious circle of crack, cocaine, drug dealing, prison, mental health issues. They just want to. So what it makes you think, subhanAllah, I'm living someone's dream.
How blessed we are.
How blessed I am. Right? Allah's given me everything I need.
We forget sometimes, myself included, probably more so than others, is that we forget how blessed we are.
SubhanAllah.
We look at somebody else and we say, oh, but he's got a bigger car than me or a bigger house, he's blessed.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're the one that's actually blessed. Like you said.
People in Palestine right now, they have nothing to them.
Yeah.
The kids dying, women dying, men dying, no houses to go back to. We have a warm house to go back to. We have food on our tables.
We're spoiled.
We're spoiled. We have so much to be thankful for.
100%. And look, and even for us to train jiu-jitsu is a luxury, man.
100% it is.
Like you said, the brothers out there in Gaza and stuff.
Nothing.
They've got to do what they've got to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
They're clinging on to life.
Yeah. So this is a blessing we have. But Sunil, Jazakallah khair for your time.
Always a pleasure. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much. And guys, if you want to get involved in jiu-jitsu, we're here, Luton Grappling Club. We're on Stewart Place in Luton. We're training during Ramadan. So hopefully if you watch this during Ramadan, come down and train with us. Inshallah, we'll see you guys soon. Jazakallah khair.